Here we are with the Archimedes prep and needle. Archimedes prep with needle. At one point someone asked me if I always come in at the same angle. I do not. Sometimes I come in rather shallow, like this. Other times I come in super steep and just poke a little bit to get some break loose. Since it's 3D and you're prepping at different levels, sometimes you have to adjust your microscope as you're prepping, because one point you're lower, one point you're higher. You have to refocus often. And kind of hitting some dead space here, so I don't know right now. Hopefully you can see how sometimes chunks break off and other times it's just little powder. Normally it's a lot of little powder. And even the chunks that break off are nothing more than crumbs compared to other stuff, so a prep like this will take you quite a while. I think the needles do a more accurate job. You can control them better, you can push harder, lighter. I could be using air scribe, but that's like too powerful for this. It's a really delicate thing. I could be using air eraser, basically microblasting. The problem with that, it's not super consistent. Sometimes you get a little bit more media that comes out than others, and media isn't always the exact same. Sometimes it might be a little bit harder, might be a little bit too soft. And for this kind of stone, I usually use a mixture when I'm doing prep. So I will have some harder media mixed with softer media, which would make it damaging for a fossil like this. With the needle I can go as light or as hard as I want. And I always got my other selections of needles, so I can take off more or less matrix depending on which tip I grab. Like I said, I've got 7 different tips, 2 cone-shaped sharpened needles, 1 4-sided sharpened needle, 1 wedge-shaped, kind of like think flathead screwdriver, but sharp enough that it would cut you, sharpened needle, and 3 hypodermic needles, a 18 gauge, a 22 gauge, and a 32 gauge. The 32 gauge being the smallest is really soft and bendy, so I only use it for really fine areas, and if the matrix is, I think the matrix is soft enough. Otherwise it'll just tear that little needle up.